Last year's team created a foundation. Epps scoring, Sorber showing that he was NBA caliber, PV competing every night. But this year's roster, it's deeper, tougher, and was built to take that next step in March. Let's dive in and break it down.
Owen, what's up?
Nothing much. What about you?
I'm good, man. It was a beautiful weekend in DC. I happened to make it over to Georgetown because I was in the neighborhood getting breakfast with a friend over at Clyde's on M Street. And is it okay to tell people where you were?
Yeah, I was also in DC this weekend, moving in my brother. I just love DC. I posted about it I think last night. It's the greatest place on earth. It's just an amazing atmosphere, beautiful campus, everything about it.
Yeah, I saw your picture in front of the bookstore. I thought, what a rookie move going to buy some overpriced swag at the bookstore.
Yeah, yeah. I was on the hunt. Drake is my favorite rap artist, and he made a collab with Georgetown last year. So I was on the hunt for a shirt, which I'm wearing right now. But yeah,
That's cool, man. How much
yeah.
that cost you?
It was around like 70. It was an expensive shirt, but
70?
yeah, it was an expensive shirt, but I've wanted it for a long time, so I saved up some money and got it.
Cool, man. Well,
Yeah.
it's your money.
Yep. All right. So today we're having a special episode where we are comparing last season's roster to this season's and just seeing if we are going to be an upgraded team this year or a downgraded team. So, yeah.
I was going to say there's a great Teddy Roosevelt quote: "Comparison is the thief of joy." And for those of you who don't know, it just basically means you do you, let other people do them. Don't let your other people's accomplishments um, diminish your achievements. And I think that's good general life advice. But we're totally going to go against that today. We're going to compare this year's team to last year's team.
So let's start off with the point guard position. Obviously, our point guard did not change much, except that he got older and now has a year of the Big East under his belt. So I'm gonna say that Malik Mack just as a junior is definitely an upgrade. Um, I just think having a year of experience under your belt, still being a focal point for our offense this season, I just think it's a massive upgrade. I don't actually, I wouldn't say it's a massive upgrade. I think it's just a steady upgrade, and it could become massive if he plays up to his potential for this season.
I actually gave this a incomplete / I don't know. And that's not because of any bad games we've seen him play in the Global Jam. I just think obviously he had a great crown tournament. But I don't count the crown because one, he's not going to take that many shots, and Cooley was pretty disrespectful of the crowd, where he said, "I'd never want to be in this tournament again." I say it's incomplete because we have yet to see Mac play the role he's going to play once everybody's healthy. Like when Georgetown is healthy, and if it's a good team, he's not going to be taking 20 shots a game. And so I want to see him be. Can he be a facilitator? Can he get the ball to Langston Love? Can he get the ball to KJ Lewis? Can he get that would be awesome. As last year went on, I thought he got better and smarter, and so I would love to see that continue. But I'm going to give him an incomplete until let's check back on this like 10 games in and see how he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely fair. I mean, when I was writing down if he was an upgrade or downgrade or kind of equal, I kind of was thinking that this team's obviously a different squad. We don't have any like injuries yet or anything. Last season when Thomas Sorber got injured and a lot of players went down, Malik was kind of given a role that I think he wasn't expecting, where he had to be the main player. I think this year, if we do not have any injuries, which hopefully we don't because this team could be very good. I think he has a different role and kind of a better role that suits him. Everyone wants to be like the best player on the team who's always taking the shots, but I think you have to know your role, and if he's going to be given a role that suits him perfectly, which is being a facilitator, as you said, and I think he's going to be able to do that with KJ, Langston, Caleb, and all these players on the floor this year.
Okay, so last year our shooting guard was Jayden Epps, and this year we're projecting that it's going to be Langston Love. Is that an upgrade or downgrade in your opinion?
I mean, I think it's a huge upgrade. If I'm gonna be honest, we obviously thankful to Jayden Epps for his years, but I'm not a huge fan of Jayden Epps. I think that's kind of a known thing by now. He was a good scorer, right? He scored for us, but he was kind of inefficient in my opinion, and he struggled defensively. Consistently, he struggled defensively, and I think that Langston bringing this veteran experience from Baylor. He can score. He isn't going to be hijacking other players from playing their game. He knows how to kind of pace himself, limit himself, take the shots that he's supposed to take. And I think he's just stronger on both ends than Jayden Epps is. I think he's a better offensive player. He's a better shooter. And then I also think he's a better defenseman by far. And yeah, that's just my opinion. I think it is a massive upgrade.
I agree.
What do you think?
I think it's an upgrade. You know, I hate to say that Jayden's height was a weakness because it's not. You know, it's not something he could go out and practice and get better at. He's 6'2". He's stuck there. But you pointed out that he's kind of a volume scorer, not that efficient. I'll always be grateful to him for that layup to kill Villanova, and helped us sweep them last year. But I just think he was not. This is on both ends is an upgrade, offense and defense. And I was,
Yeah,
although I was still sad when he left because I thought, yeah, he could be, if he could come back as a sixth man, this team would be really good. But so maybe he wanted to go where he could get more shots.
Yeah, I think there was when I heard that we were getting all these point guards, shooting guards, I kind of thought either Mac or Epps was going to be gone. In my opinion, I'd rather Epps be gone because I think Mac has more potential. I think Epps is kind of at his best playing style. And I think another thing that we have to realize is defense wins championships is the quote. We can't have someone who's on our starting lineup who just can't play defense. And I feel like Epps kind of could not play defense. He couldn't keep up with the pace of Big East play. I wish him all the luck. And Mississippi State is where he's playing next season. I wish him all the luck, but I wasn't a big fan of him towards the end of last year. I think if we had Langston on our team last year, he would have made a free throw versus DePaul, and we wouldn't have lost them 3 times. I mean, obviously you can't do it.
Do you think is that the indelible image that people have of him as Georgetown fans?
Like, if I'm going to be honest, I have friends who aren't Georgetown fans who, when they think of Georgetown, that's the one thing they bring up, the one missed free throw. I mean, I've been watching Georgetown for 3-4 years now, and it was a sad way to end a career that he kind of was brilliant for us. But I feel like when you end like that, that's kind of how people are going to remember you. At least that's how I remember him as he was a very good scorer. He had some amazing games, but he was inefficient, as I said before, and missing a free throw, which that's just kind of the bad taste I have about him.
No, I get you. What about small forward?
So our small forward this year is going to be KJ Lewis, transfer from Arizona, and our small forward last year was Micah Peavy, who was drafted 40th overall to the Wizards, traded to the Pelicans. What do you think, Rasheen? You could start with this one.
I think it's a downgrade. I think KJ Lewis is a really good player, but Micah came here not being known as a scorer and ended up really blossoming as a scorer and being able to hit threes and just hit a lot of big shots for us. And did not suffer on the defensive end. and was just total ball hawk and got in passing lanes and could defend people really well one-on-one. So I think it's again, it's not to belittle KJ Lewis, but I think Micah Peavy was, an NBA draft pick. It's hard not to say that it wasn't that we have a downgrade, unless KJ Lewis comes in and shows himself to be a NBA draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in my opinion, it's kind of an equal playing playing field for them too, because it's kind of similar to the thing you said about Malik. We haven't really seen anything from KJ yet, but KJ and Micah are kind of very similar players at this point. When Micah was brought to Georgetown, both are very good defensive players, both very tough, and they kind of have the same identity. But I just have I have a thought that KJ is going to be able to provide that offensive play this season. I don't think he's going to be a Micah Peavy, but I can't really say right now that he's going to be a downgrade because we haven't really seen anything. In my projections, I think Ed brought KJ here because he saw something in KJ that he saw in Micah, that same heart for the game and just wanting to be better, wanting to be a draft pick, kind of under last year. And I think KJ is going to become that. And one thing I want to point out is when people are talking Georgetown basketball, right, when people are saying if we got better or worse this year compared to last year, I think the major thing that people talk about is Thomas Sorber leaving, not Micah Peavy, because we brought in KJ Lewis. If we did not bring in KJ Lewis and we had a small forward from another place that isn't as good and not even close to KJ, I think it would be Micah Peavy and Thomas Sorber left. You guys have no chance. But we brought in a guy like KJ who has it in him to be good. I saw him in the Arizona versus Duke game in the Elite Eight. He fouled out but had amazing moments, a very good defensive player. And again, defense wins championships. So I'm definitely excited to see KJ, but I don't know if he's a downgrade yet. But right now, I'm going to tell them as equal, and I think he will be equal by the end of the year. I think they're going to be very similar players.
Because Micah was so good for Georgetown this past season, people forget that we were his third stop. He started off at Texas Tech, and then he went to TCU, and nowhere had he shown that he had real offensive capability at this level. So it wasn't a foregone conclusion. KJ Lewis could totally surprise to the upside, just like Micah did. But I think we have to give that a shot before we can really make a judgment about whether it's an upgrade or downgrade.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ed Cooley's magic. He can transform players, make them into very good players. That's why he's one of the best coaches in college basketball, and that's why we brought him in from Providence, because we know what he can do compared to what Patrick Ewing could do and other coaches. We know what he can do for this team, and that's why we brought him in. And we brought in so many new guys that we haven't really seen play in Big East level, so it's kind of hard to say if they're going to be upgrade or downgrade, but that's the point of this show, so I'm going to keep it equal. So now, do you want to move on to the power forward position?
Yeah, last year we had Drew Fielder in the 4 spot, and this year we're going to have Caleb Williams. What do you think?
I mean, Drew is honestly an amazing guy. I've talked to him many times. When I first started my Twitter page, he was one of the guys that I reached out to and responded right away. And we had a lot of conversations. But if I'm going to be honest, he's just not a Big East caliber player. I mean, I think we realized that last year. He just isn't he isn't Big East caliber. He's more fit at Boise State, which is where he's going to play. And I think he's going to be a very good player for Boise State next season. He just wasn't a good fit here or for any team in like a major conference. And I love Caleb Williams. I think that's also a very known thing that Caleb, in my opinion, is going to be a breakout player this season. He's been getting up the shots. He has a year under his belt, just like Malik. He has the scoring tools that Fielder never really tapped into in his time at Georgetown. I think Caleb is going to be a very good two-way guy on offense and defense. I think the sophomore leap is going to take this to be a win for the Hoyas and this year's Hoyas, not last year's Hoyas. I think that Caleb Williams is going to be better than Drew Fielder. I'm honestly going to give it one of the biggest upgrades that we've seen in this episode, I think the biggest upgrade is Caleb Williams to Drew Fielder to Caleb Williams, because I just don't think Drew had it in him to be a Big East player.
As you know, I've said many times, Caleb is my favorite player just because I love guys who can do a little bit of everything. You know, it's so easy to make fun of Drew Fielder because he gave us a lot of material. Drew didn't have great lateral quickness. Drew wasn't strong enough really to bang down in the post. I think Drew celebrated too much or celebrated too long. He would get a dunk and he would be yelling, and then somebody would throw the ball over his head, and then the other team had numbers. So
Hang
I
on
was
the rim, stay hanging on the rim.
exactly. He really
got into it.
Got into it. Yeah. But he cared. He played hard. He's just not going to be more than a backup of this level. The fact that there were rumors, or was he signed by USC for a little bit, or was that completely?
So I remember this because I talked to him like the day he entered the transfer portal. I sent him like a DM and he responded to just like, thank you for your time, like and all this stuff. And he committed to USC. I said like, congratulations. And then like a couple minutes later, it was committing to Boise State. So I was like very confused. I don't really know if it was a real or rumor. I'm pretty sure though he did commit to USC for a little bit and then switched over to Boise State because I think Boise State is his hometown.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so
he's from Idaho. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he was waiting for that Idaho Boise State offer, and once he got it, he decommitted from USC, which I also think is a brilliant choice by him because I don't think he would be a good fit for USC. I think way better at Boise State.
If he was on this team, where would he there's no way he's a starter, right?
No, I mean, I don't know where he would start because I don't have him better than Vince or Juice. I don't have him as a power forward starter. He can't start small forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zay has a potential to be better than him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd be a third position guy off the bench or second. So he'd either be the third power forward or second power forward or third center. That's my opinion, and I think that's why he left. Because
that would be I mean, that would be a really good team if he's the eighth guy.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but no one really wants to play as the eighth guy on a Georgetown team when they could be a star at Boise State. I think Boise really enjoys him, his energy that we kind of, I guess, don't really like that much because he was yelling and it was just getting – in Big East play, it's hard to play like that because you have guys like RJ Lewis going down and just running around and getting the ball and shooting a three and making it. It's just kind of a sad thing to see for Georgetown Hoyas. But, yeah, I definitely think Caleb is better than him and will be better than him this year.
I'll always remember Drew dropping 17 and 8 in February on Providence. But
yeah,
he's got, he made the right decision for him and for Georgetown, frankly, to move on.
Yeah, I mean, before we move on, I don't know if this was Drew, but the Villanova game, Wooga Poplar, who transferred to Villanova, who threw a punch, was that at Drew or was that someone else? I don't know if you remember.
I remember the punch. I don't remember if it was at Drew or somebody else. There was,
I remember Drew versus Providence. Someone got in his face, and he kind of got in their face, and they got a tech, and he didn't, and it fouled him out of the game. I remember that by Drew. I mean, he just brought so much energy and stuff, and I'll always be thankful for him dropping Providence and committing to Georgetown and following Ed. But I wish him all the luck at Boise State. I think he's going to be a brilliant player there. I just don't think it was the right fit.
Yeah, I just think he's a mid-major player. He can help a mid-major team more than he can help Georgetown.
So now let's talk about probably the biggest loss of this offseason, Thomas Sorber, 15th pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder, kind of living his best life right now, it seems like on his TikTok page. So Vince or Juice, whichever one you prefer versus Thomas Sorber, what do you think?
Well, I don't even think this is worth discussing that much because Sorber's an NBA lottery pick, and neither one of these guys probably is going to be that. Maybe Juice. At least that's how he was projected before he got hurt last year as a possible NBA player. Thomas just did way too many things that neither one, these guys can't replace even in the aggregate. So I think it's a downgrade. There's not a lot to debate.
Yeah, I completely agree. Nothing really to debate. But the thing is, something I want to talk about with Thomas Sorber, because Sorber was injured for half the year, so we kind of saw Drew, who we were just previously talking about, in that position. I think the duo of Juice and Vince fully healthy is definitely a upgrade compared to Thomas Sorber out half the year and Drew healthy the entire year, because I just think this is two players, right? We have Drew and we have Juice and we have Vince, who are two players that can go out there and ball out. We saw Vince ball at the Global Jam. I'm very excited to see him play. He's ready for playing time. He's been kind of in the shadows of some players in his career. I don't know. I feel like this team, Juice was hurt last season. He's going to be back. He's very physical. He's a very good player. He has to do better on that defensive side. I think he was a player we saw at the Global Gym that kind of made me feel like a little upset compared to what he was projected. I think Vince is definitely a starter compared to Juice, but I'm not going to say that Juice and Vince together is worse than Thomas and at not full health and Drew Fielder.
Juice is a tough one to evaluate, right? Because he just hasn't played a whole lot of games. He looked really good at the FIFA World Cup. Then in Global Jam, he got pushed around. I rewatched the games. He didn't. It wasn't like he wasn't getting good shots. He just was missing them. And then on the defensive end, he just didn't have it. And I don't know if it was fatigue because he hasn't played a lot, or if he was injured, but he was not what I was expecting. And maybe he won't be that guy until mid-season. But if his like three ball isn't falling and he's not getting a lot of boards, and he's not, banging down low, like I don't know what he's for.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like Juice, right? The difference between Juice and Vince is an amazing defensive player. We saw it in the Brazil game, playing amazing defense. And Juice is supposed to be that guy that could come in and score points. I think Vince kind of dominated him on offense and defense in statistics and just watching the game. Juice went out there in the Brazil game, kind of the saddest moment, I think, of the Global Jam. Got subbed in for Vince. Vince playing amazing. I was getting very hyped with Vince through the TV. He was playing amazing, and Juice gets in, lets up a huge three where he tries to put his hand in the guy's face, but he's so far back from where he's supposed to be on that play that the guy just splashes a three and then goes down and makes a layup on Juice. So Juice kind of just wasn't there defensively, which he's not supposed to be kind of. That's not what he's the best thing about him. Best thing about him is his offensive skills, which you just said weren't there either. So I just don't think there was anything
the rebounding was atrocious.
Yeah, I just don't think there's anything to be excited about for Juice right now because of what we just saw. But I do think he is better than a Drew Fielder in this position because he's also bigger. He's tall. He's taller, not bigger, but he's taller. He can definitely play the game differently. And if he could provide that piece to be a backup center, I just think he's going to be a great player. But right now, I'm not very excited about us not going to get a center like Owen Freeman when we were on his list to start. But I do think Vince has the potential to be very good. And I do think since there's still 2 days to get another scholarship player, maybe we can go get an international guy that can come play for us for our 13th spot.
I agree with you. Those two guys over Fielder is an upgrade. Drew is just out of position as a center. He's big enough.
Yeah.
He was 6'11", but he's not strong enough or tough enough really to
100%.
do the dirty work necessary to be a Big East center. So
yeah,
again, thank you for your service, Drew. But
yeah, one more thing about Drew is kind of comparing his 2 years ago to this season, to last season. 2 years ago, making his threes, it was wonderful to watch him shoot threes. Last season, was not making his threes, was still shooting them, still missing them. And then, as you said, he'd make one, yell, go crazy, and would make a fault on the other end. So I just feel like I don't know. I mean, I think we can move on from them two and go to the
Yeah.
sixth
You talk
man.
a lot about Drew.
Yeah, a lot about Drew. So sixth man this year, Deshaun Harris-Smith compared to Jordan Burks. In my opinion, huge upgrade. I think that I think that Deshaun Harris-Smith was the best player on the floor at all times in Global Jam as a 21-year-old transfer from Maryland. I don't think anyone was playing with as much heart as
But he's
him.
a 21-year-old sophomore.
Yeah, he's 20. He is a junior.
Is a junior? Okay, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's had 2 years at Maryland.
At
So
Maryland. Okay.
he's 21 years old, junior
Okay.
transfer. He's just I think he played with the most heart in that tournament. He was showing the most energy, he was very upset when we lost, and that's just what we need for this team. I love him already so much, and I just don't think Jordan Burks kind of compares to him. I think he brought a deep sense. He was a very deep player for us, Jordan. He was kind of just a backup. But I think this team's way deeper and way better. And I just think that Jordan Burks would not have a good place on this team. And that's why he left. And I think there was also some issues with him and the coaching staff. So I just don't think it was a good fit at all.
I wasn't sad to see Burks go, but I thought Burks could be helpful to this team. The problem, it was clearly between his ears, his problem, because he would have flashes where he was really good. He shot the ball well, or he'd be taking the ball to the hole, but he just couldn't put it together consistently. And every time I would start believing in him, he would do something stupid that made me stop believing in him.
Yeah.
He transferred to Central Florida, right?
Yeah, UCF, yeah.
UCF. So yeah, I think that's probably the right level for him. But yeah, I think I think he could play on this level. He just is. I don't know, for whatever reason he could not. I don't know if it's maturity or basketball IQ, but he struggled consistently to make the right play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at his stats right now. He was very inconsistent. Some games he had 4, 11, 7, 13, 11, but then he had so many games with 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, 2, 4, 8, 3, 2, 7, 3, 2. Like, if you want to be a great player for this team or for any team in the Big East, you have to be able to make your shots. And you have to be able to score. You have to be able to play defense. And you have to be consistent. And that's why I also think Epps was kind of sent out. The next player, kind of the seventh man, I'd say, Jay Will versus Curtis Williams. You could start with this one.
Upgrade. I like what
Agreed.
I saw at Jeremiah. He also played with a lot of heart. He also showed that he cared at the Global Jam, and he gave us a taste of everything. At this point I'm a very big fan of Jeremiah.
Yeah, I mean, I also love Jay Will. I mean, he's an older player, so he has that veteran experience. He's going to be able to provide to the younger guys. And Curtis Williams was also an inconsistent player. He hit his shots many times, but he disappeared way too often. I think Jay Will's a steady guard. He defends. He can handle the ball. And he's someone that we kind of needed last year who can ball handle. And I think that's something that you definitely need on a team. So I'd also say it's an upgrade. I'm very happy Curtis went to Tulane, though. I am Tulane football fan, so I'm definitely happy that he's at least in a place that I know is going to be good for him. He's on a team that he's going to be able to play.
Wait, time out. Why are you a Tulane?
My other brother, he goes to Tulane.
He goes to Tulane.
Yeah,
in the
so
school there. That's their big thing.
Yeah, he is. So I am now a Tulane football fan and Georgetown basketball fan, but I'm very happy that he could go to a school that's very nice, and obviously I think it's a way better level for him in the American Conference. He's teaming up with lots of good guys, Rowan Brumbaugh from Georgetown, and it kind of seems like Georgetown Tulane is kind of creating a little bit of a relationship where players transfer from
kind of
Georgetown.
Eskimo brothers, right?
Yeah. So just another player. So yeah, I think it's an upgrade.
It's funny you mention Jordan. At times, Jordan and Curtis were like the same guy. Like a lot of
I think,
they would get hot, and then they would just be cold, and like
Yeah.
every now and again. It reminded me of like casinos and how like you win
Yeah.
you like win just enough to come back and then
And then
blow all your
you
money. So
exactly. I mean,
every like seventh game, one of them would have a really good game. You'd be like, oh, I think they've turned a corner.
maybe he can become something.
Yeah,
Yeah. I also think that another thing, Curtis and Jordan were very close, and that kind of wasn't for Georgetown. I
right.
mean, I think we definitely are a deeper team this year, which is going to
Mhm.
go into our last question, our final question of the episode. Which team wins in a scrimmage, real game, whatever you want to say? Which team wins 2025, 2026, or 2024, 2025?
Assuming everybody's healthy.
Yeah, everyone's healthy, everyone's playing. Everyone's playing.
All right, you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
I mean, I could start. I think it's this year's team. And the reason why I think it's this year's team is kind of the same reason I said before. If they're playing a real game, a full game, it can't just be Thomas Sorber and Micah Peavy playing the whole time. There's going to have to be subs, right? And when those players that are subbed are going to come in,
Micah played a lot of 40-minute games, by the way.
he did. He did play a lot of 40-minute games, but I feel like if it's a fresh start where we don't really, where the bench players like Curtis and Jordan Burks are both playing, I think Micah Peavy is going to be sitting for at least a couple minutes. But I think every time he's off the floor, every time um, Thomas Sorber's off the floor, that's when I think this year's team would kind of just win. Obviously, this is all hypothetical because they'll never play. But I think that this year's team would win because we're deeper, tougher. And I think this is the year that we make it all the way to March Madness. And I'm predicting that we are going to make it past the first two rounds of March Madness and being a Sweet 16 team.
I actually think last year's team would beat this year's team if they were healthy. Uh, if you get a healthy Sorber the entire time, or I should say, this is just one game, but a healthy Sorber, Drew playing his more natural position of power forward, Mike Peavy at small forward. That's a pretty good front court, and two of those players are NBA players. Now, the backcourt, as we've talked about a lot, is small. So, do you think that the big guards that Georgetown has this year would just manhandle Epps and Mac on the perimeter? Oh, and I can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear
There
me?
we go. Yeah, now I can hear
So, so I think that Mac would be playing himself, kind of.
you. Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't really compare those two. I know Mac got bigger, but Langston Love would definitely just be able to dominate Jayden Epps, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, physically. And I also, one thing I want to point out is our team is so defensively minded this year. And I think Deshaun Harris-Smith can lock down Micah Peavy if it came to it. If KJ Lewis is obviously a very good defensive player. I actually think we have so much defensive skill this year. Vince would obviously be a huge challenge for Thomas Sorber. Um, but I think Sorber would obviously be better. But I think we have so much defense this year that I just think we're a better team. And I just I just don't see a world where if this team's healthy, we don't make March Madness. I know there's a lot of people saying this team isn't as good as last year because we lost so much, and I just have to disagree.
Georgetown was a great defensive team when Sorber was healthy, and then as soon as he went down, the defensive numbers just fell off a cliff, and we went into a spiral. I think he was just that important to the team, and I think
Yeah.
he would. I don't know who would defend him. I think Juice he would just step out and shoot, and I think he could probably overpower Vince in the post, or he would get Vince in foul trouble because Vince sometimes cheats a bit, or he's just like going for the block rather than maintaining
Yeah.
position. Uh, I believe in Epps a lot more than you. I think Epps would find. I don't know. I'd like to think he'd find some way to get off, but I don't. That's a good. I mean, it would just be so physically punishing for him. He might
Yeah.
even
I
have.
mean,
He might have a hard time getting the ball.
and even when Langston is subbed out of the game, Deshaun is in the game. So I just don't think Epps would really be able to play that well. So Yeah,
I think the game would be closer than people think.
That's what I was about to say. I think it would 100% be closer than people think. So now to end the episode before we head off, do you want to just say what your prediction is for this year's team, fully healthy? What you think this team would be?
Oh, I think they're going to the tournament. I don't know if they're going to the second weekend, but I think this is definitely a tournament team. I think the defense is going to be awesome. I think they're going to get a lot of easy points in transition from this defense. And this is like what an Ed Cooley team looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I don't care who clips this. Providence fans can clip this. Anyone can clip this. We are going to be a Sweet 16 team this year if we are fully healthy. I think the Sweet 16 is our goal. I think that's where we can be if we're healthy. I think we have so many players that have experience in the tournament this year. If we are healthy, everyone, quote me right now, we will be a Sweet 16 team.
If they made the first four in, would that be disappointing?
No, I don't think so, because I think even if you're the last four in, or you mean first four out, or
sorry, first four out, yeah.
I mean, I really think this team's a March Madness team. I mean, if they're a last four in, I think it doesn't matter. I don't think really your seed in March Madness matters, because we've seen so many upsets and stuff. If you're not a 1, 2, or 3 seed team, if you're 4 or 5 all the way down, I think it doesn't matter, because there's always upsets. I would have Georgetown to the Sweet 16 if they're in the tournament. If they're not, I think it's a disappointing season.
Well, that's all for today's show. Today we compared last year's Hoyas to this year's squad, and there's plenty to be excited about as Georgetown battles through the Big East. Thanks to you all for tuning in and supporting us. And, of course, thank you to the Big East Energy Network, of which we are a partner. Until next time, let's go Hoyas.